you'll get all my whiskers. I haven't shaved.
Yeah, well, I called makeup, wardrobe, whatever, and they were busy.
They won't come.
They're busy doing Tom Cruise at the moment, but they'll be with you shortly.
Oh, well, that'd be beautiful.
Okay, I think we're up to the pub game, doing the pub things, and when we finished speaking last time, we had already talked about your first pub, which was the one where all the gypsies were in, and
Park Hotel.
the Park Hotel, and the floor was blah 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 blah. So that was all good. I just wanted to make sure. Stephen was born at Rouse Road.
Yeah.
Right? So he's at the Park Hotel as well.
Yeah.
How old is he? Roughly, he must be still a little fellow, will he?
Oh, he'd be 5. He'd be 6 or 7.
Okay. So he might have some memories of that, maybe. I haven't spoken to him.
He should have.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So, okay, Mum, Dad, Steve, in a pub. Gypsies are all dancing around, you're getting on well with them. What happens next? How long do you stay there? Where do you move, and why did you move?
Well, it was just a move up, wasn't it? Actually, because the Park Hotel was. It sounds posh, but it wasn't. And when we moved into it, then they came in and did it all up, and that, so it wasn't sort of good for trade, but it made a living only just, you know.
Yeah.
And well, we enjoyed it, I suppose, and I think we did about 4 years there. But I think I worked it out. We did about 4 years in each pub, if I can remember rightly.
Okay.
And then this. I sort of looked around for another pub, and then, of course, the Britannia came up, and that was the pub that was, well, it was old Pluto pumping station, and I don't forget where it was now. Shouldn't have known. I'll tell you in a minute. During the war, they pumped. They had this pumping station to pump petrol and oil over to France during the road.
Oh, okay.
And this was an old pumping station.
So where was this? In Kent?
Yeah.
Folkestone?
Well, it was Folkestone, but it was a little bit further up than Folkestone.
Okay.
Where my grandkids said they went, and it was a desolate area.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I've seen it on Google Maps or Earth or whatever.
Well,
they're not wrong, to be fair.
I remember it. It was a fishing village. Let's put it this way.
Yeah.
But as it sort of jutted out to sea, that's where it was. And because they were building a nuclear power station there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got this pub. It was a Courage and Berkeley place, which was the first one. It was Courage and Berkeley, and this was Courage and Berkeley.
Courage and Berkeley's the name of the brewery?
Brewery,
yeah. And just sorry to interrupt. Just the way this worked was that you leased the pub off the brewery, and they took like fucking 99% of everything, and you
we paid. No, we were tenants, yeah. So we actually we didn't pay them nothing, but we only sold their beer, right? We couldn't sell. We didn't sell anybody else's beer. Just Courage and Berkeley stuff, and we bought everything in the pub. Okay, and that was it. But we just sold their beer. So and of course this.
So how, just coming back, how did you get into the Park Hotel? Like, you had come from Rouse Road, and prior to that you'd just come off the farm. It was a bit bad, but you're pretty poor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
I wouldn't imagine you had any savings or anything.
no, we didn't actually. Well, yes, we did because I come after farm. I was a police officer, right?
Mm.
And we'd taken over Rouse Road from in-laws.
Yeah.
And we bought that off them, and of course in those days in England you didn't have to have very big deposits, you know. So we had a council mortgage on it, and well, we put that up for sale, and that's where we got a few bob.
Oh, you made a bit on the sale of Rouse Road. Excellent, excellent.
So that gave us a stepping stone into the Park Hotel.
So
what we had to do, we had to go and get. You had a big interview at the brewery and all this rubbish because your mum was a bit of a glamour girl.
Yeah.
So, which sort of helped get into the pubs, you know.
A bit Lynch or something.
Well, you know, she was pretty beautiful. There's no doubt behind the bar.
And
Because I'd been ex-copper, they thought.
Trustworthy.
Well, the ex-coppers normally got the pubs, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got the park, and because I realised why, because it was a real run-down bloody pub, you know. Yeah. Anyway, as I said, we made a living there, and then we put in for this Britannia,
yeah.
which again was a real rough pub with all the workers from the building of the power station, and it was a rough pub, but it also, they drunk lots and lots of booze, and
the more they drank, the more you made.
Oh God, yeah,
Right.
and spirits. You know, they loved their whiskey and what have you. So, and also Dungeness, that's where it was. Dungeness.
Right.
And also Dungeness was a lot of fishermen anglers used to come to Dungeness to fish for cod and whatever. So a big fishing, sort of popular fishing area for people. So that was a sort of a bit of a trade as well. And it, as I say, it was a fishing village.
Yeah.
And we made quite a bit of money there because it was real profitable. But I had to, I couldn't run it on my own, and so we had to get staff.
Oh, okay.
Because otherwise it would have driven me daft quite seriously. Because I was often over the counter and all this rubbish, you know. Well, that was all right, but. I remember one Christmas there we were so busy that we didn't get time to collect the glasses and we was really going to town because of all these drunken, all these workers from the power station, and it was real busy. And anyway, and then this one bright lad, there's all these glasses lined up on the mantelpiece, and he went. Woof! Of course, the bloody lot went flying, And so, anyway, by the time I got them all out, there was all this beer and glass on the deck, and it was a good job the place was made of concrete anyway, because anyway, so we had a fair old clear up of that lot, you know. So it cost me quite a bit of money with glasses, but let's be fair, I think we made quite a bit of money anyway, you know. And
You also, while you was there, I think, you ran a taxi service for the patrons.
Yeah,
you bought a taxi or something.
The easiest way to get them back to the camp, really. I mean, although they could sort of walk over the shingle and get back to camp, but to get them out the pub sometimes. So I bought an old London taxi cab.
Oh wow!
A real old.
I never knew this.
A London taxi cab. Yeah. So I bought one of these, and so we could chuck all the old drunks, all these gentlemen in the back, and then I'd run them to the camp. You see, and on one particular run, because then we had to go sort of down the road and round, and then up this big drive into the camp where they stayed. There was security, of course, and they stopped me at the gate, you know, and I said, I've got a load of, you're not going any further than this? You know, typical bloody, oh, I said, in that case, I opened the got out and opened the door, and of course all these drunks fell out. I said, I'm sorry, boys, can't take you, because normally I took them to the barracks.
Yeah.
Can't take you in. That gentleman there says that I can't go any further. And the last time I saw that gentleman, he was up the road, and all these bloody drunken Irishmen were going to kill him. Yeah, I know. I remember that gentleman there. I remember that was yesterday. I cannot stand pompous idiots, and I never can. You know, I don't give a monkeys whether they just down the ladder or bloody admirals of the fleet. Pompous people I just cannot stand, and that man was just being pompous, because all the other times I just driven the boys up to the barracks, you know. Anyway, we had this the old London taxi, and also it helped to pull, because it's all shingle, the Dungeness, and a lot of these fishermen, you know, when they came down, they drove their cars on shingle. Well, cars don't run on shingle, and once cars get in on shingle, they can't get out. So we often used the taxi for helping to pull these buggers off the shingle back onto the.
So did you make any
again.
money, or was it just like a service part of the
Oh,
business?
that was all just part of it. I mean,
You didn't charge for your fares or anything?
Oh God, no. And actually, one particular time there, when we got back from the train, some drunken load there, I looked in the back, and there's a load of notes, pound notes, five pound notes, rolled up with a elastic band on. Oh, what of them? And so what I did, I just put them in a glass behind the bar, and I know sooner or later, you know, when the boys come in, you know, one come in and he reckons he'd lost his what, you know, and I said, is this it? Yeah, and then he nearly died. Yeah, that was it. But I'm not. Well, I am honest. I don't steal from people, and I knew these, but they earned a lot of money, but they earned it, you know, especially the miners, or the tunnellers, because they were digging a big tunnel under the sea,
right,
out to sea to make an inlet for water to cool down the reactors.
Oh, okay. Had they started work on the channel as well?
Oh yeah, the tunnellers was it. Oh no, not that tunnel. Don't get that tunnel. No, this was just the tunnel.
This is just the power station.
Power station.
Okay.
And the tunnel boys there, they earned a bomb. They really did. And mind, they were all off. You know, they weren't all there.
Pretty mindless work.
Oh yeah, and because there was the ex-IRA men there and all kinds of things. Yeah.
So they're all pretty tough chaps.
Oh, it was very a lot of them. There was a schoolmaster there, ex-schoolmaster. There was another little fella there. He was and I forget what but I know he boxed. He was a featherweight boxer, champion boxer apparently, and he was only a little guy. I remember one day he's sitting on a stool by the bar, you know, drinking away, and I could see that he was going, and he went shock.
Drank himself asleep.
But these were, so, you know, it's a funny life. It's a funny world, these contractors. Because I remember one contractor there wanted to, because in England you used to have cards, you know, employment cards with stamps.
Okay.
And he asked me, one of the blokes asked me there, could he have my card? So he booked me on as one of his staff, so as he could get another wage, and then we split the wage. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I said no. I wasn't getting involved in anything silly like that. And
oh god.
And actually.
And that's why we're not like rich and wealthy now, isn't it? Because back then you had a frickin' conscience and you turned down a really good earner.
Well, I turned down quite a lot of earners. Yeah, I was in the pub one day. I was in the pub, and in the saloon bar, Well, one of the lads that I knew very well, he was the union steward, and he was, I won't tell you his name, but when he left, I saw him in the saloon bar with the bosses, all right? And what they were doing, they were jacking up the redundancies because it was coming towards the end.
Oh, yeah.
And so they were fixing up for these strikes. And I tell you, what goes on, it's a marvellous, hey? He was union steward, this fellow. Anyway, what they decided, they sorted the redundancies out. So to make it that nobody could moan, he went redundant himself. Okay, mind he got a well backhander for it, and I understand that. So when he was made redundant, then they moved that crowd. That crowd went to some other place where they were building a big power station. Anyway, I understand that somebody killed him there. I tell you, it was.
Shit.
It wasn't. Some of them, as I say, ex-IRA men. You know, they were. Well, we called them bog Irishmen. A lot of them, because they were. They could hardly speak English. A lot of them, But oh yeah, there was the backlash of politics that I learned that went on in these places was something else, yeah.
So, look, so had you obviously being a publican, it suited you?
No, I hated it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, it wasn't too bad, but it was money and it was a job, and of course your mum, she was down and getting her hair done every week, and we had plenty of money because we had a jukebox and we had a one-armed band.
Okay, so you kept the proceeds.
Yeah, there was. Yeah. As I say, the money was pretty good, Okay. And I even got a boat built, a clinker built. One of the boys one of the fishermen built me this clinker built boat with a diesel engine in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we called it. I'd already got a rowing boat, which I called Barbara Rose after your mum, and so this other one was called Barbara Rose too.
Oh, okay.
And
this was the fishing trawler, was it?
Yeah.
Right.
And then and one of the old fishermen there made some trawling gear for me and we used to go out trawling in this boat and catch fish and what have you, which was quite good.
And why did you do that? Was it because you was bored of doing the pub?
Well, it was a relief to get away from the pub,
right.
You know. And let's be fair, at one time I employed one of the barmen. Well, actually, one of the barmen was an ex-officer, ex-army officer, and he eventually stayed on the beach. He married. He lived with my girl that used to do the housework for me. She was on the beach, and in the end they shacked up together. And then he used to dig lugworms for a living. But when the tide goes out, you go and dig lugworm, and these great big lugworms, and then you sold them to the fishermen, the anglers, which they put on their hook so they could go fishing.
Right.
So it was quite an industry with this lugworm business. Right?
Okay.
Anyway, so he was there, and also I had an ex-sergeant major, who was again, quite drunken fellow, but he was all about like he was a little stubby man. So my pub was in good hands when I wasn't there, and it was actually in good hands when I was there.
And they were your decisions about who you hired, were they? Or
oh yeah, no, I got. And of course, one of the jokes was this ex-army officer fellow, we'd get an agent come in, say for fags, and to try and sell me something, and they start talking to this fellow, and he said, no, Oh no, they wouldn't talk to me because they thought he was the boss. So I think, oh, well, fair enough. Eh? So I mean, I knew he couldn't order nothing, so I'd walk out and leave him to it. Yeah, that was, so we thought at last. I used to take people out fishing as well, and your brother used to come out with you, and because your mother said, "Where's all the life jackets?" I said, "Yeah, we're all right. We got life jackets." They was all up forward, locked in the cabin. So we went. I suppose we were silly really, but so we didn't put life jackets on. But yes, Stephen used to come out with me in boat. He'd possibly remember that boat because she was a beauty. And another thing we used to do, the bloke that I really sort of mated up with, and I used to use his winch to pull my boat back up on the shore. His job, he had a boat, and he used to go out and pick up the what were they? Oh, Jesus, Andy, your memory's going. No, your memory's all right, but just think. The big boats that go up and down they used to have blokes used to go on board, and they used to guide the boats through.
Tugboats, pilot boats.
Pilots. They were pilots.
Yeah.
No, and so they was all uniformed fellows. And his job was he used to go out to sea, pick the pilots up off these boats because they got them so far, bring them back to Dungeness, and then they got the taxi or whatever it was, and wherever they went. So that was his living. And so when he wasn't doing that, I went out with him one day, and we went to what they call the Varn Ridge, and that was halfway between England and France. They were well out of the way, and we went foul hooking cod, and that's you got a big long line, and you got your hooks hanging off the long line. You got about 6 hooks right hanging off, and you drop these over the sea, over the edge, over this Varn Ridge. There was a ridge under the sea. You couldn't see it, of course. Yeah. And then and also you start going like that, and you've got these cod on. So you hoik him up, and there's 3 or 4 cod on these, and you chuck them in the boat, and that's called what they call foul hooking, which wasn't kosher really, but anyway, we caught these cod that way, So and that was, as I say, we was nearer France than England,
So you ate a lot of seafood back in those days, I suspect.
Oh yeah. Another thing we used to get was cockles, and because the cockles would come up in the trawl. And so what you do with them, you wash them and then put them in a big bowl with I think it was porridge oats. Used to put in there with it and mix it all up and leave them, and that used to clean them out. They get rid of all the rubbish inside the cockle.
Okay.
And then you get the cockles, put them, cook them, and they were what do you want though? Yeah. Okay.
So they're basically like a sea snail, aren't they?
No, cockles. Cockles.
Was it because you got cockles and you got whelks?
Whelks. They
were bigger, weren't they?
Yeah, they were like a sea snails. Now I loved them, and we'd get them as well. We'd get them as all kinds of things would come up in there.
So, because all that's great. I mean, life sounds like it's really turned around for you. You're actually making some money, and God knows you've come from a pretty poor background before that. But of course, none of that is the best thing that happened at Dungeness.
Well, the best thing that ever happened to me was marrying your mother.
But while you was at Dungeness, something happened, didn't it? That was probably the best thing in your life, up to that stage and after.
No, it was the worst thing in my life.
It was the worst thing in your life. Okay, I knew it was one of those two. So do you want to tell us about that?
Well, my dear wife fell pregnant, and we had this other baby. and he was lugged off to Folkestone. That's where he was born in Folkestone, in the Folkestone Hospital.
Right.
So I
I
went
was
straight
born
down
there,
there and so I got you and your mother and took her home. And you were also, this baby was called Simon.
Right, yeah.
And I called him Simon. And he was christened in the little church, well, it was a shack really, on this Dungeness village, you know, where all these fishermen all lived.
Yeah.
And you were christened there. And one of my barmaids, she was your godmother. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
You don't recall her name at all?
I do. It'll come back sooner or later.
Okay.
But and I'll tell you a thing with that. I think your nephews, when they went, when they went tiki touring in England a few years back, they went to Dungeness, as I told you, which they reckon was a desolate place, little sods. But they actually met her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I must chase that up. Should be probably long gone now.
Also at Dungeness there were lighthouses, right?
Yeah.
There was the old lighthouse and the brand new lighthouse. So lots of the time, all we got was at Dungeness was boom, this bloody booming, because of they used to sound if there was a bit of a fog.
Yeah.
And Dungeness was out to sea really, and there was often sea fog, so this thing boomed, and when it boomed, everything in the place. And I remember I bought a caravan and put in the backyard for the staff for these two boys. It was these other two that was being, because I went through quite a few staff, you know. Anyway, remember these two? This was the sergeant major and another chap. But with the booming, it was just hopeless. They couldn't sleep or anything, so we had to bring them in. Made a bed, put them in a bedroom in the doors. Yeah,
that was interesting.
And of course, it was also while I was at Dungeness, I joined the gun club, and I used to, because we used to go across this big shingle thing, and we used to go across there shooting rabbits with the gun club. And actually, if I've got a paper, and it's still there, that they did a big article on me called "We Aim to Kill" or something. We shoot to kill.
I vaguely remember that. What was that all about?
Well,
just about the gun club.
About the gun club, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And they got the photos of my hands and things like that. Yeah, so
it's all very interesting, but back to the more interesting bit. So after the christening, wasn't I immediately like economically sort of beneficial to you? I seem to remember a story about me being passed around the pub.
Oh yeah, but you was a big disappointment really, and I've never forgiven you for this, because the boys in the pub reckoned that if you were born on St Patrick's Day, they were going to buy prams and Christ knows what for you. Yeah.
Oh really?
But being as you are an awkward bugger, like you always were, and are, you weren't born to buy you a pram and things. But I think I think once you come home, that you went round the pub and they gave you loads. Because in my day, you see, if you come to a newborn baby, you always cross its palm with silver, you know, and so I think when your mum went round and they just tucked all this money in your shawl, so I think there was quite a few bob.
I remember we used to still have that christening dress. I know Mum had it, but it's just one of those things that's got lost again. But which is probably just as well, because it looked like a fucking wedding dress, and it's not something I'd want to be seen in. But
well, you had no choice, son.
No, yeah, I get that. All right, so
Oh, from there.
Where did we go from there? We've.
Oh,
Why did you leave, and where did you go to next?
I've got gypsy blood.
Right.
And I got gypsy feet.
You got itchy feet.
Yeah. And so I started to look for another pub, and I was offered. There was a brand new pub just built down called the Admiral's Walk at Sheerness by the dockyard. And it was called the Admiral's Walk, brand spanking new, eh?
Yeah.
So, and I got that. And
you got that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we got that one, and it was good. I'd made friends with one of the chief customs, because it was by the docks, and so the chief customs officer there, I made friends with him, and what he got me was a load of barrels, great big barrels, which were sherry barrels, empty, you know. Anyway, I got half a dozen or so of them, and I made some into a chair and some as tables, and so I had these barrels outside for people to sit round and drink. So that was quite good. But unfortunately, there was a club next door, which was served by the same brewer.
Yeah.
And they could go in there and buy a pint for half the price that I could charge for it, you know. And I just thought that was unfair trading. And again, I don't know if I still got the papers, but we made headlines.
Oh no, really?
Oh yeah, because you know me, I'm sick of these bloody nonsense. Yeah, and I just thought it was unfair trading. And so, although the pub was good and that, and we were getting a reasonable trade, you know, it's quite good. And the old seamen off the ship's boats used to come in, and we had a local, quite a good local trade, you know, or semi-local trade. And I used to, I sort of put music over the playing, and I remember a couple of the customers said, "We like your music in this club." Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was pleased about that. And but as I say, I had this little up and downer with these with the brewery. Oh, and they said, "Oh, what they'll do, they'll give me £10 or something a week or so, and so I could put a pianist in there, you know." And I thought, well, I wasn't interested in that, because the pub wasn't that type of pub, you know. Anyway, then so I sort of looked around for another pub, and then and I was there about 4 years.
Okay.
I did a fair, I think it was about 4 years. I don't know. And then I looked around, and then this pub in Sudbury came up.
Right.
And it was opposite your mum and dad, your granddad and grandma's place, you know. And so anyway, I put in for it, and I got this pub in Sudbury, and it was called the King's Head.
It's just dawned upon me that I lived in Sheerness.
That's right.
I've never, it's just nothing I've ever even...
Isle of Dogs, Sheerness, and...
I'll have to go and look it all up.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'd love to go for a visit one day. Go and see all that.
Sheerness, it's a real dockyard area, you know, because Sheerness is a big seaport type thing, you know. And actually, while I was at that pub, I got a lot of what we call gingerbreads, sort of masks or carvings in wood, which they used to put on the front of boats in the old days, in the old ship days.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of old relics still around from all the old ships there, and because I used to have them all around in the pub to give it a bit of...
now, did some of that make its way to Sudbury, or...?
No, none of it did.
Oh, okay, because I remember a lot of ship memorabilia at the King's Head. You had a big bloody ship's wheel, and you had a bell, and you had a bloody one of those...
No, that wasn't at the King's Head.
Wasn't it?
No, that was at... that was
That was there at the Sheerness, was it?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So all that stuff was at Sheerness.
Okay.
And the bell was... I might have brought the bell back, because I had a big ship's bell there as well.
Actually, it came out to me. It came out to New Zealand with us.
Did it?
Yeah, pretty sure. Actually, I might have it. or might have had it. I don't know.
It could have. I forget these, but I know we had the ship's bell, and I used to ring that for time. Yeah. But most of the gingerbreads, what I call, I think we left them at Sheerness, and the ship's wheel I sold I sold it to a bloke down at Sheerness when I left, and we took this King's Head, and there we see, I seem to have always got these pubs at the wrong time. This King's Head was on a main road, not a main road, but a direct thoroughfare through to somewhere, I forget where it was going. So it certainly had quite a bit of passing trade and what have you. But when I took the pub, they opened another road.
Took all the traffic away.
Yeah, and so the passing traffic was never come past my pub.
Right.
But the only beauty of it was that it was a London satellite town where they built a load of houses for Londoners to come out when they were taking all these people out of London. And so therefore, being a Londoner myself, I did get quite a trade with the local population, and it was there that because I started up my cricket team, King's Head Cavaliers, and we used to go out every weekend playing cricket. I used to load the car up full of beer, and away we used to go, and so we ate, and then we was a tug of war team we was in, and
that's right.
we I quite enjoyed it at the King's Head, quite seriously. But then I think we had that for 4 years, and then I think your mum, I was never a good publican, it always bored me. And I remember I fell out with your mum over this one Sunday, I think it was, and I wanted to watch something, and she said, no, I'm not going to open. So I under duress had to open the pub, and there was nobody there. There was, this bloke walked in, and I remember Arthur Bithery wanted, and I said, Jesus. And then he says, and it came to about a halfpenny difference, or something, I think I might have a change. Oh, I said, for Christ's sake, mate, get bloody mind up. Well, I didn't know at the time, but he was the chairman of the brewery.
Oh no, for fuck's sake, Dad.
He was, and that was the only time I'd really ever had a nasty,
So did you get the pub taken away from you?
No, but I was, as soon as I put my notice in, they accepted it with glee, and then when I wanted to withdraw the notice, they wouldn't let me withdraw.
Oh, did you change your mind, did you?
Yeah, well, yeah, because your mum called up and so anyway, we said, oh well, fair enough. So I got a job then we was there 4 years, and we bought a house, and by the way, we had a caravan in the back, a big one, which my mum and dad used to be in, and then they got one of these council houses, right? So they lived in them, and so your nan and that was in the front there. So I should have behaved myself, but there you are, in retrospect. But anyways, so I left that. Then I got a job in Ipswich, in the big bacon factory there, as a supervisor in the kitchens, and so I had that job for a little while. And then I remember coming home one day. You was in hospital. You was having an operation, and I'm coming home. I was a bit worried about you. And of course, I had a crash on the road,
Yeah, that was in the Corsair, the Ford Corsair.
Yeah, that's right. And I smashed that up. Well, we only had a little, took a chance, but I got done £10 for careless driving. When the copper came and was taking it, because in my day, if when these cars used to crash into the back of another, if they said they braked and skidded, then that was it. We accepted that as done. Because when Andy does it, it's bloody careless driving. And I thought, God, bugger me, somebody up there don't love me. And because I was worried about you being in hospital having this bloody operation, so you've been a pain in the arse to me, really.
It's okay, I'm good now, thanks. Thanks for asking.
I don't know. So, anyway, that was that. But but it was a long old... Actually, I had to borrow you. I was lucky your granddad lent me his car to go backwards and forwards to Ipswich because it was a fair old journey.
Yeah.
And then I managed to get a job as a security officer in CAV, a factory that was within spitting distance of my house where we lived. And so I was this security officer there, and
it's where your original dream of wanting to be a dog handler kind of came true.
Yeah, well, because we had dogs up there, and we used to have the dogs at night, and then there was they had another little factory in town, and in this factory there, they used to have a permanent sort of security officer, but at weekends, one of us used to do the nights there.
Yeah.
And they had this dog, and because we just used to let him out, and because and he used to be in the little caboose with us, and then we'd do rounds of the factory, you know. But the reason we had him loose because the boss man was scared shit of this dog, so we knew that he wouldn't be coming down to watch us, so we could get our bloody heads down. Yeah. We used to sit there.
Now, was that Count or Simba?
No, that was Simba.
That was Simba, because now I remember you mentioned it not being a long walk. Well, I remember Mum saying to me, go and meet Dad and meet him halfway. And I remember walking through the streets, and I must have left too early. And anyway, I ended up coming to your work. I got the whole way. And you must have been sort of 10 minutes away or so from knocking off. And the dogs were in their runs. There were these metal runs, and there were 1, 2, 3, maybe pens. And I was bored, so I went into the pens. I went into Simba's pen, and I was playing tug of war with a football with him and having a great time. And apparently you got told off for that.
Yeah, I got told off for lots of things. Well, they're supposed to be vicious dogs, but they weren't. Because we used to go have them loose to go. They were in there, but when we used to go around the factory, we used to at nights we had them loose, right?
Yeah, and you used to go rabbiting and stuff.
Yeah, well, they knew where they were going, for Christ's sake. And we used to have little clocks at certain stations where we used to punch, so they proved that we'd gone round, you know.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that while I was there, I remember I was on days, and this trade legation came from Russia, and they sort of came to the gate, and the managing director of CAV was there, but one of the rules was that you weren't allowed cameras in, you see, and these blokes, one of them had this bloody camera. So, of course, I went out and I said, I'm sorry, you can't take that camera in. So I took the camera off him, and these Russian bully boys that was with him glared at me, you know, and I thought, Andy, you've upset the KGB. Yeah. But anyway, I took the camera off him because it was the rule, eh?
Lucas, CAV, I I believe, made Lucas batteries.
Well, they made a
Lucas, like
they made a little gadget for engines actually, and for metal. It was because we used to have a load of surf. We called it surf, but it was filings from metal.
Yeah.
And that we used to send wagon loads of it out, and we used to have to weigh it on the way out and all this rubbish. But oh yeah, CAV was it was a big important factory.
We've gone a little further than I anticipated, but that's fine. Let's just let's sort of take it through to how did New Zealand come up? What was all that about, and what made the decision to leave England?
Well, basically, I was doing the security work, okay,
Yeah.
and I'll have to just finish telling you this. When I took that camera off, and then, of course, when they finished going around the factory and all this rubbish, they wanted their photos taken. So the boss man come up and said, "Please, can we have the camera?" And so I said yes, but I went down with them, right? I didn't get my photo taken with them, but I had to be with this bloody camera just to please. Well, if I hadn't, he'd have sacked me. I mean, let's be fair. Anyway. The reason was that all of a sudden my cricket team, of course they would be ex then by that time, but I was in touch with them all the time, all decided to come to New Zealand.
Okay.
You know, that was old DeBar and forget the name, Rudgy and all that. Weymouths, yeah. See, and they all decided that they were all going to emigrate to New Zealand. And I thought, what a good idea. Okay. And also, a thing that pushed that a bit more with me was that at that time, Russia was getting quite dominant, and I could foresee another European war.
Okay.
And I thought, well, I got two boys, and I thought, well,
one you liked.
Oh, well, I hated the pair of you, really. Bloody drag on my career. But I thought, if I go to New Zealand, you know, give them a chance, and it would be nice. And I wouldn't mind going. But I initially thought, well, we'll go and see what it's all about. And then, I mean, in 12 months' time, I could come back home and come back. But, so, anyway, we sold up, and... we parcelled everything up and got the Elanus, was it? Yeah, the Elanus, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The boat. And we sailed our way to New Zealand. But the basic reason I came was two reasons. One is all the cricket team came.
Okay.
And two is that I wanted to... I was concerned about having a war. You know, I could see that brewing, which obviously it was pretty close at one stage. But and I thought, well, come out here, it would you stand a chance of life. So we came out.
So just before we wrap up, Dad, because I'd like to talk more about why you came to New Zealand and then the journey and all that. We'll do that next time. But I'd like to go back to the King's Head a bit, because basically that's my earliest memories, and that's where I would say was my childhood home. But I mean, it just seems such like living in a community, unlike life today. Every time I looked around, you were the guys practicing cricket in the car park. You had cricket nets up, and I remember riding my bike right in front of one of them once and getting sconed in the head. Served me fucking right. You took me into the house, and Mum was on the fucking couch watching black and white television, eating chocolates, I think. And I went and cuddled up with her and ate chocolates. But and then there was this seafood stall Neptune's something or other. I mean,
Neptune's Pantry.
What was that? I mean, you guys were always fucking doing
Yeah,
things.
but that was nothing to do with me. It was that old Tommy DeBar.
Yeah.
He wanted to set this natural, this cell cockles and mussels, and could he do it, for the pub? And I said, yeah. And so he set up just in the front of the car park, or in the car park, and he set this Neptune's Pantry up, and of course the cockles, mussels, and
it's lovely.
And the big fella, what you said just now.
Whelks,
because I love whelks, and I really did.
What was it, winkles? What were winkles?
A winkle's they're little snails.
That was what I was thinking of.
Little black shells.
And you had to
you get a
take
pin,
the pin,
and you get them out like that, and they all had a little black cap on, so you took the cap off. Actually,
but the best thing was jelly deals, Dad. Oh my fucking god!
I love jelly deals.
It's been so long.
Yeah, I love jelly deals. They sell jelly deals as well, Yeah. Oh yeah, it's quite. Now going well back. In the old days, and I mean old days before the war, my dad long before the war, because I can't remember him doing it, but he used to go around selling muffins. That was in the old days, and and the muffin man, they used to have a tray full of muffins on their head, and they would ring a bell, and muffins, and they used to go around the houses selling muffins.
Okay.
Yeah, this was normally on a Sunday, and on a weekend in those days we always had wilks, shrimps, because we couldn't afford wilks, shrimps and what you just said, winkles. That was a Sunday sort of tea, because the man used to come around flogging them as well. But this is going back before the war, right?
Yeah. Bloody hell! So
and by the way, while you're spitting and carrying on, yesterday was an anniversary for me.
It was. You tell us about that.
It was 66 years. What does that ring a bell?
One more 6 and it's going to be really bad. 66 years.
I married your mum.
66 years ago?
12th of August.
Wow.
Yeah, 66 years.
Okay. Wow. We've got photos of those, of that wedding too. So that
you have them?
Yeah, plenty of those. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, Dad. Anything else you want to add about that time period?
What time period? We've covered nearly bloody
I know.
Years.
We've typical. We've gone all around the fucking houses, but basically, the pub years. I mean, life did change for you though. The pubs took you out of poverty a bit, didn't they?
Oh yeah, Well, we made good money at Dungeness, right? And I lost money at Sheerness in that new place.
Yeah.
But I don't think I lost too much.
Wasn't my fault.
But no. I'll tell you something that did happen at Dungeness. I bought a little cottage out in the Wops, because the reason being that the wine and spirit people were well behind with sending me a bill, so consequently I did have a big spirit turnover.
Yeah.
So I had quite a bit of money in the bank, and I bought this cottage out of this money, and I sort of used to go out there and do it up, and I put my mum and dad in there, but they didn't like it because being Londoners, they didn't want it was too bloody isolated for them. So that's why I had to buy them a caravan to come in, and also I had to sell the cottage because all of a sudden
the
bills started coming, so I had to sell them. But while I was there, and we used to do a lot of after time, And I even the local sergeant, he knew what went on, but he was pleased because I'd kept all the drunken Irishmen up my end. And actually, he did get me asked me if I'd taken now, you should know him. I know, hang on, no, you'll be too young. Your brother might. A little French boy for a holiday. And this kid came.
Didier,
that's him. And he had, anyway, I know we took him
my
out.
brother.
Yeah, we took him out and bought him some shoes and clothes because he didn't have anything, you know. But Didier lived it. But your brother and him didn't get on. They used to fight. But so he was there. Yeah, so we had, and also, when I say we had this pub, lots of these people, and there was the butcher was a big mate of mine, you know, and I used to get some lovely meat off him, it was beautiful. And the hairdresser of your mum and the bloke, her husband, and none of the little kids started to come to the pub, and I got friendly with him, and I took him out fishing one day, and he said to me, "You know I'm a policeman." So I said, "Yeah, I know that. I'm here looking at you and your pub." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "Well, apparently one day he sat outside the pub one night when we was having a party in there all bloody night because there was a lot of robberies were going on."
Oh, okay.
And they reckon they were so well organised that somebody who knew something, me being ex-copper, right? Mm-hmm. All the brains from Essex thought Waters was the man, or the organiser, and so they put this kid who was from. Anyway, he told me. He
told you.
And I said to him, for Christ's sake, if because he told me who they was actually doing it, and I said, well, if you'd have told me before, I'd have helped you. I mean, you know, and then I thought, well, I remember now. Now I was coming back from the cottage, and we were going the marshes. We crossed the marsh to get to the. So I'm coming back across the, and this police car come up and stopped me because I had this van, and I had your mum, and whether you was in it, no, I know your brother was there because I'd been doing that, and I was stopped by these coppers and they searched my van and all that. I didn't find anything, and then I realised that they thought I'd been on a job, and they thought they caught me. I know, Jesus, but it just made me smile, you know, when this kid he told me what he was doing. But I said, well, if it had only come to me, I'd have helped you.
Yeah.
But there you are. It just shows you what life can do to you. Why you've got to watch your back all the time in life, eh? Yeah. That was